Active, of course, thanks to Jorge's talk. All right, so it's time to introduce our next speaker. Let's welcome him.
ngConfCo traslada su conexión hacia Berlín, Alemania,
ngConfCo transfers its
ciudad conocida
to
por su
Berlin,
ambiente
Germany,
artístico y los sitios
city
geográficos
known
modernos,
for its
como
artistic
la
environment and
Filarmónica de
modern
Berlín,
geographical
construida en
scenery, with the Philharmonic of
1963 de color
Berlin
dorado
building
y
built
con
in
un diseño de
1963
paneles que se
in golden
desprende
color
del
and with
techo.
a design of panels that is
Desde
coming
esta gran
off
ciudad
of its
nos
roof.
acompaña
From this
Robert
great city,
Willemelis,
joining us is
front-end
Robert
developer para
Willemelis,
un gran proveedor de
front-end
servicios de
developer
hosting en
for
Berlín.
a great provider
Robert quiere
of hosting
mostrarnos su
services
idea
in Berlin.
experimental
Robert wants to
para
show us
reducir el tamaño
his
del
experimental
paquete
idea
de
to
una
reduce the
aplicación
size of the package of a simple Angular application.
Hello, Robert. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you hear me?
We do hear you. Yep, we do.
Perfect.
Thank you. Welcome to ngConfCo. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for inviting.
Yeah, that's cool. Also from Germany, right? Lots of
Exactly.
Germans today. So cool.
We love Colombia.
Thank you for that. Okay, Robert, so please have fun on stage.
Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So, hello, my name is Robert, and I want to tell you today about my project of creating the smallest Angular app in the world. I will show you also some learning and nice insights. But first, who am I? My name is Robert. I'm a Berlin-based front-end developer. I love to go to conferences like NG Columbia in 2018. I'm also co-organizer of NG Girls, and I have crazy ideas. And one of this idea I want to show you today. It all started with that my boss came around and asked me for help to automate the manually updated job platform fast. So I suggested this new cool framework called Angular. My boss just cared about the time and tests for sure. And after 2 days of coding, I was ready with a nice application. But what is this? 380 kilobytes for the main bundle? Usually then a nice colleague comes around and suggests you another framework. So let's optimize it. My first idea was inspired by the website of Glenn Maddern, who used emojis for his CSS classes. I thought, why not using this approach? To detect similar chunks of code, encode them with emojis, deliver them to the client, and decode them back to the original code, and manually bootstrap the application for sure. But the idea failed, because emojis have 4 bytes and normal characters 1 byte, and common compression tools do a better job. My next idea, which literally popped up under the shower, was inspired by the coverage feature in Chrome Canary, showing you unused HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code. I tried this for my Angular application and thought, why not using this to remove unused code? Here's the basic idea. I run my unit tests with the help of a coverage reporter like Istanbul and over the final beautified bundle. This generates a coverage report with unused lines as we saw in Chrome. And then I just have to delete the lines. Cool idea, but what is the real potential of this approach? If you look at my job list sample, you have 60 to 98% of unused code. For sure, we'll also understand the code better later. And hey, I have to write unit tests to keep my features in the app. Otherwise, so the concept, they are thrown out. Isn't that cool? But don't get me wrong. The Angular team makes an amazing job with Ivy. The Hello World demo I used then was around 3.6 kilobyte, but with 36% of unused code. So I use this as benchmark. At ngConf 2018, they reached the 10 kilobyte cake line. with a 2.7 kilobyte minified and compressed Hello World app. So I decided better use this cake benchmark. And the Hello World demo I was using was not working in IE. The interpolated Hello World text is missing, as you see here. To sum up, my benchmarks for a successful project are 2.7 kilobyte, IE compatible, and all done with Angular. So, challenge accepted. Now I will tell you my journey and learnings in 10 challenges. Challenge 1 was to generate the coverage report. Downloading from the DevTools was no option. Modifying or reverse engineering the testing mechanism of Angular also not worked. Even to put up in the tsconfig, the minified bundle was not recognized. But then I found out a simple solution while I was at ngconf by creating a fake object. So I put on the top of my beautified bundle a helper function which I export. Then I have to import this in my app component and calling the helper object. So the test mechanism recognized now my extra file as a part of the Angular application and generates the coverage report with it. Now I just have to remove the unused code and I'm done. Couldn't be that hard, right? Challenge 2 was how to use the data. I wrote a little Node.js application for that. But sadly, after removing the unused code, my app wasn't working. I tried to debug line by line to figure out the problem. It turned out that this line needed to render and show the Angular application was marked as unused. This brings me to my next challenge, 3. This unused line here is calling another function which creates the DOM of the application. You might see the query selector here. What is the reason why it is uncovered? TestBed. When you look at your test file, create a fake testing module and a fake component which is not related to the DOM, but provides you the needed APIs for testing. That is the problem. Next challenge was crazy behavior. While my Node.js application was running, sometimes the iteration started not with line 0, so it resulted in wrong code deletion. The solution was using Node.js with TypeScript. It provides you safety against weird behavior and you have a more readable code structure. Do you think this bug is not crazy enough? While working on my project, I figured out this issue. Do you see the difference? So, yes, on the right, you see the list is not more left aligned, but the app still works, but I deleted a feature. The reason was, you won't believe it, a useless looking function with a new line. You see here, lol. So with visual regression tests, we can avoid this issue. Another challenge was how to parse the code. First, I tried with lots of regular expressions, but for example, in case of functions, you have functional expressions, anonymous function, function declarations, function prototype, and a lot of more. Is there an easier way to detect code blocks? Yes, why not using it like in Python, using indentation to detect blocks, like you see here with the spaces. Next challenge, unused variables. I realized that my editor marked unused variables because of tslint, so I also used that to delete lines. Challenge 7 was my Node.js application was too slow. Every iteration took over 1 minute because I read, optimize, and write line by line to the file. Over 10,000 file operation, which is time expensive. I boosted this by writing it temporarily to a string and then write it back just once to the file. Now it took just 2 seconds. And afterwards, transpiling of TypeScript was the most time-consuming process. So, but I still had 2,000 lines of code left. So I started to manually delete lines. Here we need, for example, just a few properties for our application. One of the hardest challenges was to throw out webpack. Angular needs it for features like lazy loading, bundling, or the proxy conf. But for Hello World, we don't need lazy loading. Without Webpack, it doesn't need the inline.js loading the Webpack library. Webpack also created a lot of glue code and code hopping, which results in fake coverage. Last challenge was zone.js. A zone is an execution context that persists across async tasks. Angular uses zone.js beside other stuff for change detection, but throwing out zone makes the polyfills unnecessary. It is not needed for our basic application, and this was also the reason why there was issues with IE. You might now ask, what if you need change detection? We already throw out zone.js. Again, keep in mind, next we need to configure our bootstrap process with using no-op ngzone, and then manually trigger the tick function, which is injected by the application ref. Now the interpolation works. So I finally reached 920 bytes. Even if it's not yet automated for production, we have an app without zone.js, webpack, change detection. We have no unused code, which is working in IE, and it's the smallest Angular app in the world. So, but what we can do with this project? For sure, we could continue optimize. We could provide data for the Angular team. We could create a minimal version of Angular like Preact. We could use the data for machine learn-based optimizer, and we could also shrink node modules or other JavaScript libraries. You might think now what I told you is fake. So here's the proof. So you see here the application. And when you sometimes needed a reload, and you see 920 bytes, it always changes from gzip. So, and when last thing, when we have here our small application, I just show you at the end that also the process of the Node.js application is working. No, come on. Second. Don't do live coding at conferences. So, yeah. Hello, Columbia. So, thanks to all who helped me, and here you find the slides. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert. That was the smallest bundle size ever. It really was. Okay, so please stay tuned